Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 1965 Alfa Romeo Giulia TZ2. Now this is based on the standard TZ, but Zagato gave it better aerodynamics, a lighter fiberglass body and more powerful engine. Only 12 were built and all were made as racing versions, and yet as a race car it was really rather successful. It took its class win at the 1,000 kilometers of Monza. Also got class wins in 12 hours of Sebring, the Targa Florio, the 1,000 kilometers of Nürburgring and the 6 hours of Melbourne. And as a race-based racing version of a road car, this is easily one of the best. Now granted, obviously you're not going to be able to take this out onto the road, and you really wouldn't want to. It's got side exhaust for instance, and very little in the way of interior. As you can see, it's really been stripped back. And you also wouldn't want to be driving this without a helmet, because as you can see right behind the driver you've got a roll cage bar to strengthen the vehicle, as well as fuel fuel pipes or air pipes or something like that. So it's not going to be a car to drive on the road, but it is a car that is great on the track, as evidenced by its race wins. And in terms of weight saving, it's got about 90 pounds less in weight over the standard version, weighing in at a very small amount of 1,367 pounds, which means that even though it's not got the largest engine or the most power, it's not got much in the way of weight to deal with either. So even though it's only got a 1.6 litre inline-4 engine producing 170 horsepower and 130 pounds-feet of torque, it means it's got very little in the way of weight to deal with. So it's got pretty much power levels you'd expect, say, from a Mazda or MX-5, but weighs a significant amount less. And it's rear-wheel drive. It's got a 54 to 46% front to rear weight distribution, which isn't bang on 50-50, but it's still near as enough, makes no difference. So it's very well balanced, and it's a great looking vehicle as well. Minimal changes to the way the car actually looks over the standard version, but it does have a side exhaust, and the rear glass was reduced from 3 separate pieces just to this singular one, to make it not just lighter but also more aerodynamic. So not massive changes over the standard car, but enough to certainly make it a race winner, and also enough to make it one of the best handling vehicles from the mid-60s. So let's get out there and see what this car can do. So as you'd expect with a car with all of that power and not much in the way of weight, it's a pretty lively vehicle in terms of acceleration, top speed and handling as well. And it's a car that you actually have to drive. It's not something that's just going to flatter you at every corner. You really are just having to drive it, and it's a rewarding experience to say the least as you do drive it. But let's listen to how the engine sounds before I continue. So pretty nice sounding engine, especially considering inline-4 engines in the 60s and before weren't the best sounding of engines. So this, with the engine noise that it has, is mightily impressive, and certainly sounds good in comparison to cars from today. As you can see, it's got a near 8,000 RPM rev limiter, which again means that the engine is made to really be enjoyed. And acceleration is pretty good as well. Now granted, acceleration after 60 isn't the best, because obviously it's not got the amount of grunt to really push it any further. But 0 to 60 in 5.820 seconds is not half bad. 0 to 113.330 seconds is again not the worst, but certainly not half bad again. And it's got a reasonable top speed of 153 miles an hour, which is pretty good for a sub 200 horsepower car, which again comes down to the fact that it's really rather aerodynamic, and it doesn't have much in the way of weight to lug around. So even though this is a really rather rare car, and certainly not one you're gonna really ever likely to see on the road, never mind in person, it's a corker of a vehicle really. It's easily one of my favourite cars from the 60s, and you could compare it to, say, a Shelby Cobra Daytona Coupe, which is similarly styled in its body shape, long nose, short rear tail, rear wheel drive, not much in the way of weight. But even though this car does weigh a lot less than that, it's nowhere near as quick in terms of acceleration or top speed, because it obviously has a much larger, more powerful engine. But that said, this is a better handling car than that Cobra, either in the 427 version or the Daytona Coupe. So yeah, it's a cracking vehicle to just throw around and have a great time with. And yeah, it's easily one of my favourite cars to drive on this game, to be honest. And yeah, I highly recommend you try it out if you haven't already. I imagine plenty of people haven't, because there are newer Alfa Romeos to try out, and I feel Alfa Romeo are generally underappreciated on these games, but it's still a cracking vehicle in its own right. And yeah, certainly gives a run for their money with cars that are more well known, like from Ferrari or Shelby. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.